serdeczne.
It's a great pleasure for me and a great honor to welcome this special guest that accepted our invitation to visit this festival, Pilar Alessandra. Thank you. She's a well-known script consultant and a very talented screenwriting teacher. I saw her live and I thought, well, I'll do anything to try to ask her to accept our invitation, and she did, and I'm so glad I can be here next to her, and I'm so glad I can run away from this stage in a second and leave you with Pilar Alessandra straight from Los Angeles.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me in your beautiful country and in your beautiful city. Today we are going to talk about a short pitch, a minute pitch. And the reason that we talk about a short pitch is because, a couple of reasons. You have a pitch fest that is going to happen in about 2 days, and you will be talking to producers, perhaps representation, perhaps the filmmaker of your dream, about your script. And you're going to try and get them to read it. Now, back home in Los Angeles, there are a lot of screenwriters out there, a lot of them, and a lot of future filmmakers, and a lot of talented people. And it's hard sometimes to get everyone interested in your idea when there are so many scripts on people's desks. So it becomes important for a writer to be able to communicate what kind of script they have and why it's special, so that the producer or the filmmaker or the representative wants to read that script, begs to read that script. And you can do it in a short amount of time. You don't have to run on and on and on, or you'll get the glaze. People will look at you like they don't know what you're talking about, which might be happening right now. I'm not sure. So, my job today is to get you to communicate that idea in a short amount of time, make it interesting, and also make it true to your idea, your story. All right? So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's talk about when it is that you might have to pitch. It's not only in a pitch fest situation. Let's say, for example, they do hear your pitch, and they love it, and they read it, and they make it. Okay, let's say that they make your script into a movie, and they produce it out here. And you become the star of a film festival. Everybody wants to meet with you. That means they don't only want to meet with you out here, they want to meet with you over there in Hollywood. And then you have meetings, lots of meetings. And what they do is they sit you down, they get to know you for a little bit, and then they say, we loved your script, we loved your movie, what else have you got? That's what they always ask. What's next? What else? What else have you got? So, you say, well, and you start to do a short pitch of the other 3 projects that you have, or between us, that you're working on. That is another reason you need a minute pitch, a short pitch. We also call it an elevator pitch back home. Do you guys call it an elevator pitch? Yeah? The reason that they call it an elevator pitch is the idea is that you've met somebody, let's say that dream producer, on the 10th floor, and by the first floor, they have to say, I love it, I want to read it. Okay? That is a good elevator pitch. Another reason you might be asked to pitch is that after you've gone through all of these ideas that you have, they say, well, I like it, but we also own this property. We own a comic book. We own a book. we have a movie franchise, and we want to know what you are going to do with this comic book, or book, or movie franchise. And right in the room, they might say, here's the general idea of it. You want to come back right at them with some kind of angle, perhaps, on how you see it. Just a little bit. Well, that might also require some kind of minute pitch. So that's the reason we're doing all this. It's a good tool to have. Oh, I forgot probably the most important thing. Another reason, the last reason, the best reason to have a minute pitch is to actually use this tool before you begin to write. Because if you can think of your project in terms of its hook, its major story beats, okay, and its appeal, and you know that before you hit page 1, you're going to have a much stronger draft. And unfortunately, I've read scripts where the writer kind of didn't think of those things until the very end. Perhaps you've read those scripts. Okay? Perhaps you've seen those movies where you thought, what were they thinking? And the fact is, they didn't really know. So having this as a tool, even before you begin to write, can help. So I'm going to shut up talking about why we pitch, and let's get to the pitch, okay? And to do that, I've created a little template for you. Okay? The last thing in the world a writer wants is to be scripted. However, it does help to have a couple of guideposts, right? Just a way in to telling your story, just knowing what it is that you'll be asked to hit along the way. So, got a little bit of a template for you, and we're going to pass it out right now and go through it. And this should help you, guide you in your pitch in a couple of days, okay? So, I have my lovely assistants, and they are passing them out. Okay, want to give them to me too? I'll help? Okay, there we go. There you go. Thank you. There you go. There you go. There you are. Oh, you got one already. All right. Need more? Here you go. Can you fly it down? Okay. All right. Okay, does everyone have one? Yeah? Good. All right, there you go. So please turn to the side that says just the minute pitch on it. Not the minute pitch for representation, just the minute pitch. All right, so out here, are you asked to logline a lot? Logline. Do people ask you that? No? Yes? I hear a no? Okay. It's not? Okay. All right, so again, not only do people have a hard time sort of committing to reading a script, sometimes they have a hard time committing to reading more than one sentence. So what we have is the need for a logline. A logline is a one-sentence description of your main idea. And if you can get just the logline out, just the description of your story out in one sentence, you've hit the pitch. You've done your job. Even if you freeze after that, if you say, oh, okay, my script is about, and you tell them, and then you have complete stage fright, you've still done your job. You've still pitched. So, we're going to get that log line out right up front. Because your job at the Pitch Fest will be to sit down, look your producer in the eye after you've introduced yourself, and say, my script is about this. Okay? Now, often it's hard for writers to take 110 pages of love and pack it into one sentence. So a way in, just one way in to find a logline is often to think, what if? What is the what if question of your movie? What if? And the reason for this what if approach is because that's what production companies and studios are looking for. Independent filmmakers are looking for it too. What if this interesting person attempted something in a unique way? What if we were in a world we never saw before? What if these opposite people fell in love? Okay. I'm going to give you some examples here. I wrote them down before I came in. Tell me what movie this is. What if a selfish weapons manufacturer becomes a reluctant superhero when he builds a suit that fights evil? Iron Man. I knew it would come out to Poland. I knew that. Is number 3 out here yet? Soon? Okay, all right. What if a bipolar man and a depressed woman find love when they join forces to win a dance contest? Is that out here yet? Silver Linings Playbook, yes. Okay, and you notice how the what if there are those two kinds of characters? If you think about what we usually see in a romantic comedy, you don't usually think of a bipolar man and a depressed woman, okay? And the fact that they have to win a dance contest, there's a high concept in there, even though it's not traditionally a high concept movie, okay? There's a hook that came through with that log line. Here's the last one. Okay. What if a high school girl is forced to choose between her love for a vampire and her friendship with a werewolf? What movie? Twilight, that's right. Okay, so in all of those log lines, we got the hook out there. It wasn't thematic, although one imagines that the theme can come through. Okay? It is not, a log line is not, what if love conquered all? If you think about what if love conquered all, that's almost every movie. Okay? So you need to be specific. And the reason I'm dwelling so much on the log line and getting the hook out there is because I'm going to ask you to write one down right now. Okay? You can give me a log line that you already have, provided that it's one sentence, or you could phrase it as a what if you want to. Another way in is just to say, my script is about. Is that clear? Cool. All right, I will give you 2 minutes. 2 minutes, write it down. Okay, so I would love to hear some log lines. And I will need microphones on people. Okay? Are you my microphone assistant? Thank you so much. Those who would like, I would love to hear some log lines. I can give you some feedback. So who would like to volunteer? Oh, I'm not in LA anymore, am I? Come on, good. This gentleman right here.
Hello.
Hello.
Well-known actor stars as himself in a comedy which shows his alternative life, struggling with work problems, teenage son, and ex-wife.
Okay, very good. A well-known actor. Say it one more time. I want to hear it just one more time.
Well-known actor stars as himself in comedy which shows his alternative life, struggling with work problems, teenage son, and ex-wife.
Which shows. So he stars in a comedy which shows his alternative life. So is this an alternative life that exists or doesn't exist? Very good. Now you say a well-known actor stars in. Is this a real television show or a fantasy?
it's a fantasy, but it's mixed up with his history.
Okay. So when you say it stars in, it may complicate things because it sounds like it's just a show, okay? But in truth, he has accidentally fallen into an alternative world, right? This is something he's found himself in. So you might want to say a well-known actor finds himself in an alternate world, okay? Or drops into or falls into, okay? Very good. Good job. Somebody else? That gentleman right over there?
Hello, I'm Maciek.
Hello.
Okay, what I wrote is, what if a male and a female prostitutes fall in love without knowing about their profession?
Excellent, excellent. What if male and female prostitutes fall in love without knowing about their profession? So it's the Mr. and Mrs. Smith of the prostitution ring, right? All right, sounds good, sounds good. And you know, the fact that I knew exactly what kind of movie he was talking about, but it had a spin, okay? There was a familiar element, but it has a hook that's all his own, is always a good thing. Okay, let's hear somebody else. Go for it.
Hello, my name is Joanna.
Hello.
What if a middle-aged man sets out on a journey to find a playmate he found in his father's Playboy when he was a little boy?
Did you all hear that?
I think I know the ending.
So it was, what if a middle-aged man sets out to find a playmate that he found in his mother's Playboy, in his father's, that would be a whole different movie, in his father's Playboy when he was a little boy. Okay, talk about your fantasy movies, all right. Somebody else had it? Okay, good.
What if an inspiring Polish writer offers Alessandra Pilar to become her 24/7 hours slave for a year in LA?
My husband already has that job. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's, you know. I'll do anything for the, anyway. Okay, go for it.
Four Germans with extremely different personalities come to Warsaw for a business trip, but unexpectedly, one of them gets involved in Pruszków mafia conflict, and the other three have to act together very quickly to rescue her life.
Okay. What was the word that you used before conflict?
Pruszków mafia. This is our local, very famous in Poland, maybe not in the rest of the world yet.
All you have to say is mafia and we get it. Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. So they've come here just for an innocent trip and end up involved with the mafia.
That's another detail. They come here and they hate this business trip. They hate the boss and they hate the client. So it's not really a happy story, and this makes the things only worse and worse.
Okay, so you could start with a casual business trip turns dangerous when three people are caught up in a mafia scandal or a mafia situation. So do the contrast. Make us understand that it starts off somewhere and it turns into something that's life-threatening. Okay, if you believe that's the hook. Now, is this a thriller or is this a comedy?
Actually, it's action comedy.
It's an action comedy. So you can use those kind of words. So, you know, it might be a casual business trip turns into the adventure of a lifetime when. Okay, it really depends on what genre you're going for. Those words matter in a log line. Adventure of a lifetime versus life-threatening situation. Those have different connotations to them. All right, let's hear a couple more. Over here.
My script is about an elder lady and a young blackless guy who are forced by circumstances to set on the journey to help their mutual friend.
So to go on a journey to help their which friend?
Mutual friend. Like
their mutual friend. What kind of a journey?
Well, previously it's supposed to be like a hitchhiking trip across Europe.
Okay.
But now we're thinking about setting it in Poland, so we're just picking just two random cities, and we have to sort of...
Okay, so a hitchhiking trip across Poland. That's more specific than journey, okay? Because every movie is a journey. So if you're going to pitch a road movie, you have to say specifically what the kind of road movie is going to be. You said to help a mutual friend. Let's be specific about this friend. What kind of friend?
Right, so it's a granddaughter of the lady, and then the guy is her boyfriend.
Ah, okay. To help, so it's to help her granddaughter and his girlfriend.
But they don't like each
also,
other.
Ah, very nice. Okay. So you might want to start with personality clashes occur when. Okay? Get that in there too. All right, very good job. Couple more?
Okay, so what if 27 years old theater director tries to solve mysterious death of his old friend while working on the new play?
While working on the new play. Does the play help him solve the mystery of his friend's death?
Yes.
Okay, so you might want to maybe get that in there first. Right now you say he's trying to solve the mystery of his friend's death while working on a play, but your high concept is the fact that while working on a play, the plot of the play starts to reveal the answers to the mystery behind his friend's death. Is that right? So that is high concept versus just trying to solve something and writing at the same time. The play is the thing that's going to help. Oh, I think I just went Shakespeare for a second. Well, you know what I'm saying. All right? Okay, good. All right, so you understand why I asked you to put the log line up front. You heard how powerful people's ideas were just in one sentence. So now you've got that log line out, and you have 50 more seconds to pitch how you got there or what springs off of the log line. So let's look at this template for a second. You sat down and you told them what it was about. Great, take a breath. Now you're going to tell them a little bit more. Title of script, that's the first part. If you don't have a title, this would be a good time to come up with one. Is a specific genre. So it's not just a comedy. It's a dark comedy. It's not just a thriller. It's a courtroom thriller. Okay? So really be specific. In the vein of. Now, this is where people like me will depart on this a little bit. Some people say, whatever you do, don't say what it's like. But you have a very short amount of time. And a producer wants to know if it's a medical show, there are so many different kinds of medical shows. Back home, there was ER, and then there was Scrubs, completely different in tone. One was a drama, one was a comedy, and a wacky comedy at that. So saying in the vein of a similar project isn't a bad thing to get out there. So now you have, here's my script, there's a title, it's a specific genre, in the vein of this similar film or project. Okay, great. Now they know what you're going for. Okay? Now, you're getting into the story now. It follows a description of main character and a description of supporting character. Now, a great way to describe your main characters or your supporting characters is to think personality or flaw plus occupation. Personality or flaw plus occupation. So, striving writer, jet-lagged writing teacher, okay? 24-hour organizer, okay? So, personality plus occupation. We'll describe them up front rather than naming them. Their names at this point mean nothing. And when you're describing your main character and, if possible, slipping in that supporting character, you're also implying a natural subplot. Okay, so if I said a hard-boiled detective and a hooker with a heart of gold, well, we understand that there's probably a natural subplot that will come through in terms of potential romance or potential career conflict. Okay, so that's why I'm asking you, if you can, get your supporting character in there. If it doesn't work for you, though, don't worry. It's still your main character story, that's fine. Also, if this is a genre, if this is an ensemble movie. Okay? You can say it follows a, and give some personality to the ensemble. Retired bank robbers. We know there will be a whole bunch of personalities in that. Okay? So it follows these kind of people as they second act activity. Okay, so no matter how you think about three-act structure, all we mean when we say second act is your movie, is the middle of the movie, is what's going on. So as they second act activity, as they do something, okay, not as they feel it, not as they think about it, not as they plan it, as they do it. It's a movie. We're going to watch them do stuff. Okay? So that's really important. And even better than just watching them do stuff is watching them do stuff with a method. Okay? So if you have something your character's doing and a unique way of doing it, by all means, put that in there. Now, you can sit there and you can talk about the characters and you can say what they're going to do, but it's never a movie in an exciting, dramatic sense until something gets in your main character's way. So that's why we go to the next part, which is challenges occur when. Okay. Now, when we're talking about these challenges, who usually creates these kind of challenges against a main character? Usually. What do we call that person? What? The antagonist. Yeah, the antagonist or the bad guy. Okay? It's, you know, the guy with the mustache, right? The villain. But it sometimes can be a force of nature. Okay? A tornado, an earthquake, a snowstorm. Sometimes it could be a flaw. Sometimes it could be all of those things. Okay? But something needs to push back to make your script interesting and to make your pitch interesting. Now they must third act strategy. Okay? So now that we've got this pushback, now your characters must do something. Now the reason I said third act strategy is because it is important to know how somebody intends to solve their problem, but in a pitch, we don't want to know if they actually do it. Okay? So having a strategy in. So now they must third act strategy. I might even add consequences to that. So now they must do this thing, third act strategy, or face consequences. So now look at how you've teased your producer or your agent or your filmmaker with this short pitch. It goes like this. So title of script is a specific genre in the vein of this short film or project. It follows a description of main character and a description of supporting character as they second act activity. It's great, right? Challenges occur when midpoint complication or second act low point. And now they must third act strategy or face potential consequences. Gripping, right? Yes, I know. Now, a couple of things here. You don't have to follow this script verbatim. You certainly don't have to use my language. As a matter of fact, I prefer you don't. I'd love for you to come up with your own words. Because what if you went to a pitch fest and everybody was saying what if, right? The producers are going to want to kill themselves. So by all means, create your own language. This is a guide. These are the little signposts along the way that tell somebody you have a full-fledged feature story. Now, if this is TV, how many people are pitching 1 hour or half hour? Understand can be compared to something that translated to a mass audience in some kind of way, either critically or commercially, but they also want it to be something they've never seen before. So, what I'm saying is, they want something that's the same, but different. Fun. So, this is where you're going to say, you know why mine is different? You know why mine is special? This is why. So now you really bring it home by talking about the fact that yours is different from any other movie in its genre because. Okay? Now the next part here, it says audiences will love moments such as. Okay, again, you don't have to use my language, but to get across some kind of unique scene or special set piece, something that would go in the trailer, this is your opportunity. When somebody's giving you the nod, you can go, you know what's a great scene? Let me tell you about it. And go in with something very specific and visual so they can really start to see the movie. Now, if you're not getting the nod, that means move on to another pitch, okay? But also, they may be throwing questions at you, okay? They may be asking, for example, about the message. Is there a theme or a message that comes through? Know what that is, too, okay? And that's why that's in the talking points as well, if you think that a message is particularly important. Okay? Other things that you might want to know, do you have any kind of dream cast in your mind? They may ask you that. Okay? Is there cross-platform potential? Meaning, do you see any potential for it as a web series? Do you see any potential for it as a TV show if it's a feature? Know some of those answers. Doesn't mean you have to address all of those. But know that that's what producers may ask you. They ask that kind of stuff when they're interested. Also, know what you'd be willing to change. Okay? Just sort of have that in your head. Let's say you're doing a period piece and you get the, I really love it, but does it have to be in 1865? Can't it be in 2013? What's your answer? Sure. Yes, it can. And let me tell you, I've been thinking about that too. Let me tell you how. Does that mean you're going to change it? No, look. They just want to know, is it possible? Okay? It's like a director seeing how you take direction. The answer is always sure, why not? Okay? After the contract's signed, you can battle it out. But for now, sure, why not? Great idea. Okay. So, you have your building blocks for actually pitching your feature or maybe even your TV show. I want to sort of add something to the TV show pitch. Even if you do sort of the overview, you'll also have time to then go on and talk about the pilot. So you can say, well, my show is about this, the overview, and then go in and say, and in the pilot, this happens. So you can pitch your show 2 times, just so that you know. I want to see if we have time here to go over. Oh, we do. Turn the page. We're going to talk about pitching for representation. So 2 years ago, I got to teach in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City. And after it was 3 days locked in this conference room from morning till night, and everybody's taking notes. And then finally I said, are there any questions? And what do you think was my first question? How do you get an agent? That was the first question. And that is what everybody asks. How do you get an agent? Now, even if the system in Poland isn't necessarily that an agent has to be the person that sells your material, usually some kind of representative is going to need to take you on in some way. The reason we're so big on representation out in Hollywood is it says that at least one other person likes your movie. So, you have to get a representative to actually pitch your idea. Let's see, they have to pitch too, to the powers that be and to represent your material. So it's really important to have somebody on your side. So when you're pitching to representation, whether it's an agent or a manager or a lawyer or even somebody who you just really want to work with, think about this kind of a pitch. Again, looking at your template, we've got, I'm a writer or a director or whatever you define yourself on as, who specializes in some kind of medium or some kind of genre. They want to know how you define yourself right up front. You don't want to sit there and go, yeah, I kind of like movies. I don't know. What do you think I could do? Okay. My style could best be described as again, you're getting even more specific. What kind of style do you have as a writer or a director? I draw inspiration from. What kind of themes or issues or life experiences do you draw inspiration from? And I'm excited. Oh yeah, am I excited? Because I've recently completed a project, gotten some competition recognition, or had some encouragement by a producer. Okay? Even if you haven't had all those things, remember the completed the project part. You finished something. You're excited about that. Okay? So that's the about me part of it. And feature people who are just going in to pitch to a producer. Okay? You should still know about you. It's a good thing to fill this part out before you get to your pitch fest, because they want to know about you. They want to know they can work with you for years and years and that you're not crazy. So if you sit down and define who you are and what you're good at and what your voice is, they don't have to make something up. They're getting to know you right on the spot. Now, the About My Projects part tells you a number of genre scripts that you have. You might have a thriller that's a feature. You might have a 1-hour drama. You might have a web series. You might have a short film. But this allows your representation to see your whole portfolio because you're going to describe it. And then you can talk about, well, one project is in the vein of, it's kind of like this, kind of like that. And then you've got your little short pitch here that we just did. It's just a copy of what just happened. Now, it already has interest from, perhaps it has interest from investors or producers or a fan base on Facebook or Twitter. Okay? And transmedia and cross-platform potential for my project includes. Now, the reason I'm adding it here when you want representation is these days representatives want to know that they can sell you across many platforms. Okay? There are all kinds of ways for a writer or a director to get work. Okay? And if you put yourself in a box, that tells the representative they can only sell you one way. They want to try all kinds of things, and you should want to as well. Now, this last part is about my career. So, my main goal is, every representative wants to know, well, what do you want more than anything? What's your bottom line? Well, my main goal might be to be staffed on a TV show, to make a living as a feature writer, to write and direct my own projects. Now, you can also talk about what other interests you have, because if they know that you also like writing comic books, or you're a playwright, or you do video game creation, or you write for the web, again, what they see is $sign, or wait a second, it's not dollars, what is it? That, yes! You know, when I try and pronounce anything, it's just terrible. If I try, the whole country will hate me. I'm not even going to try. But yes, okay, so that's what they're going to see is money. Okay? And finally, I think your agency would be a great fit because remember, when you're talking to your producers or you're talking to your representatives, they want to know why you're pitching to them. The more research you can do before that pitch fest, the better. When you're sitting down with somebody, they want to know you understand their sensibilities, that you've seen a movie or two, okay? You want to sit down and say, hey, it's great to meet you because I loved this, okay? When they feel like you know them, it becomes a really good date, okay? And then finally, as a new client, I offer a unique approach, a different perspective, some kind of strong voice, or a built-in audience, because I'm so popular. Okay, not me, you know what I'm talking about. So, these are just elements for you to know, questions for you to know to answer. Ask yourself these when you get home, fill in what you can, so that when you do come to the Pitch Fest, you feel prepared. It doesn't mean that you have to memorize everything by rote. Just know these elements and hit them as the conversation comes up, or organize it the way that you feel comfortable, but do hit these elements because this is what people are going to want to know about. I'm going to see how much time we have. Okay, we have time for questions, so feel free to ask.
Do you think that we could have this page in front of us during the pitch or not really?
You know what? It's a pitch fest. The idea for a pitch fest is to make relationships. They're not going to sit there and want you to be completely polished and scowl if you're not. So if it helps you sort of as a security blanket, you could have it with you.
Just to have a glance, not to read it, of course.
You won't even be reading it, but sure, why not? Just have it there for notes as a backup. But remember, it is an intimate discussion, and to sort of say your log line and relax, get as many points as you can remember out there, and use this only if you have complete stage fright.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Somebody else with questions? Questions? No? Oh, over there.
Pani nam podpowiedziała, czy w tym podpytaniu jest taka kwestia, co by było, gdyby było. Ja napisałem natomiast takie streszczenie, taki logline, który jest opisem treści, a nie jest odpowiedzią na to pytanie. Może ja przeczytam, bo wtedy będzie łatwiej pani odpowiedzieć. Mój scenariusz to jest nielegalna podróż 14-letniego chłopca przez okupowaną przez hitlerowskie Niemcy Europę. Z Polski do Francji. Przygoda wynika z trudności tej podróży.
Okay. So you've got a boy who's on a journey, World War II, France, and the adventures are the difficulties of the journey. So you pitched that very well.
No, podróży, niebezpieczeństwa fizyczne, prawda, groźba śmierci, aresztowania przez nim. To nie jest tak, że przygody w stylu, że zbiłam sobie kolano czy coś takiego.
I got it. But just and one can imagine the terrors that this boy goes through, the drama the boy goes through. But you don't want the producer to have to just imagine it. We've seen a lot of World War II stories, so I want you to get even more specific. What is it about this boy's journey that's different from other children's stories set in World War II? Now, you don't have to answer that right now, but it could be that he hid in a certain place, or he engaged in a certain kind of battle, or he made a relationship with somebody that was unique, okay? Or he had to make a journey from one place to another. But those are the kind of specifics you need to get in right up front so that the producer doesn't say, oh, I have a World War II story. And as cynical as that sounds, that can happen.
Ja rozumiem. Yes.
Good. We're on the same page. Excellent. Okay. All right. Another question, please.
What do you suggest when there is a question which is very typical and everybody hates it, and you have just a few seconds, and producer asks, why do you want to do this? Or why I should do this?
So the question is, what do you say when a producer says, why do you want to do this?
Like, what can you say, or what tactics you can have? I don't know.
Well, if a producer says, so why do you want to make this? Why should I make this? Okay, that's where you should probably start talking about the bigger issues. You can tell them what inspired you in terms of, did an event, some kind of life event inspire you to do this? Or you could also turn around and say why you think it will inspire audiences. Why do you think this story needs to be told? That's what they want to hear. If they ask you that question, why should I make this? You've got to make it because. Okay? It's important, and this is why. Okay? And that all goes with theme. So know why. It's a good answer. You know, I'm sorry, it's a good question. Why should they make it? Why should they put all that money into it? You know the answer. Feel brave about it. Okay? Let them know why. Does that answer your question? Yeah? Or you could just say because Pilar said so. It's okay. Okay? You could. Yes.
So, what if?
What?
No, the thing is, what to do when you've got like several opinions of your story and they're completely different? I know. What I think you should do then, think of your authorities or think about intuition or what? Because I've got a situation like this.
So someone's read, many people have read your script. They're all saying something different.
Yes, there's a producer and a director, and their opinions are like completely different, and I'm not sure what to do.
It's going back to the writing. It's going back to how you're communicating your story on the page. So I think you have to look at those key moments when emotionally something was happening. Were you conveying that emotion? Writers are scared sometimes in pages to actually put the emotion of a character down. They're told not to do it. That's crazy, okay? Because story is told through emotion. So if an event happens and a character is not reacting emotionally, then the reader makes up the story. So one person says, oh, this event happens, that's good. And another reader said, oh, this event's happened, that's bad. But really, it's the character's emotion that should be telling the reader what's going on. So look for those emotional moments. You may have glossed over them. Really bring those out. Okay? All right. Are we doing okay on time? Yeah? Okay. I think 5 more minutes? 5 or 10 more minutes? It's okay if we run over? You guys okay about running over a little? Yeah? So that's the end, and then everybody can get a beer? Is that what's going on? That sounds good. All right. Okay. Somebody else? Another question? Okay, I think over there. Oh, yes. Sorry.
Hi. My question is, what's the worst mistake that we can make aside from the obvious ones? Because we don't have much experience in pitching, and sometimes we get very emotionally involved, I think, and we tend to make mistakes sometimes because of our emotions or other factors. What's the other very serious mistake that we can make aside from telling that I'm a scriptwriter and my other hobby is feeding my cat?
You know what? If you told them that your hobby was feeding your cat, they'd be all over you. They'd tell you how many cats they had and, you know, what happened to them. And probably, you know, really you can't go wrong. Okay, you're going to sit down, you're going to have a discussion. They're either going to respond to your material or they're not. But where I do see people trip themselves up is desperation. Okay, desperation. When somebody won't take no for an answer and says, oh, no, you don't understand. You just don't get it. Oh, I guess you're not creative enough to understand my script. Okay, so when you start being desperate and adamant is when the pitch is going to go. It is a little like a date. It really is. Okay, if he's just not that into you, you got to move on. Okay, all right. Any other questions? Oh, that gentleman over there.
Hi. What do you do if you pitch to a producer and his phone rings, or he says something like, he answers the phone and say, oh, go on, or there are two guys, and why answer the phone and second go on, and like, what do you do then?
You mean if you walked into a cliche? Is that what you're saying?
Is there something that you can do, like say, what you should do in this situation?
Now, has that really happened to you, or have you?
No, I'm just asking.
It is a little bit of a cliche that producers eat their lunch through a pitch, or they talk on the phone through a pitch. It's, there are cliches about writers and there are cliches about industry people. The producers that will be at your pitch fest are probably there because they really want to be. They probably want a new idea and they want fresh voices and creative people. So I doubt that will happen. But if anybody does do something like that, you just say, oh, that's fine, I'll wait. Okay, don't keep going. Just, I'll wait, and that means, and when they're not distracted, they'll focus again. They'll start feeling pretty self-conscious right away if you do that. Okay, all right, good, yes. I'm sorry. I am keeping you running, right? By the way, everyone speaks wonderful English. That is very, very nice of you to try in English. I appreciate it. That's nice. Go ahead.
How to pitch documentary film? Is there any difference between a feature film and documentary film in pitching?
Between a feature film and what kind of film?
Documentary.
Oh, a documentary. Oh, that's a really good question. You could definitely use the same kind of template for a documentary because great documentaries always have an angle. Have you noticed that? They always have a story the documentarian actually wants to tell up front. Now, does that mean that they're biased going in? Not necessarily. They just have a point of view about their subject. So you would still pitch it with main characters who are doing something, potential obstacles, and potential strategies. You don't know if that will absolutely happen, but you do know that there's a good chance of it happening. So that pitches the potential drama or even the potential comedy. Okay? Same thing for reality shows. Are reality shows as big out here as they are back home? There's some money to be made in reality shows, and frankly, there are a lot of writers out in LA who are employed by reality shows because they have to take all that footage and create story. They're not using editors, they use story producers, AKA writers. So, don't turn your nose up, okay? Do not. A reality show by any other name is just a shorter documentary, okay? So, if you have a reality show you're going to pitch, think of it this way as well. What are the characters? What are the obstacles? What are potential strategies? Okay? Yes?
What was the best pitch that you've ever heard? Could you give some example of the pitch that you found so extraordinarily good or any pitch that you remember special?
I have a client, her name is Karen Gist, and she usually runs all of her big pitches by me, which is I feel honored. She started with me as a student. She was I think a law clerk at the time, but she went on to write a movie called Camp Rock for Disney and Jump In, and now she is on a Showtime show. It's that House of Lies. She's an executive, she's a producer, writer over there. And whenever she sits down and pitches to me, she always catches me unaware because she starts engaging me in a conversation and starts telling me about something that happened to her, and I'll be like, oh gosh, yeah, I can totally relate. And as she's talking, she'll say, and that's exactly why I came up with this feature project right here. So what she does is she kind of relaxes her listener in a way that gets them thinking they're just engaged in a conversation and then ends up slipping in the pitch. So by the time she's pitched, we feel we understand the story she wants to tell, okay? And that we're also involved in why she wants to tell it. Now, everybody doesn't have to have that kind of approach, but it is, when you do it right, when you can sit down and you can just engage somebody and then get your pitch in really subtly, it works. And she gets me every time. Every time. So I hope that answers your question. Okay? One thing I should probably stress. Sometimes you go to a pitching event, somebody has a microphone, they say it in front of everybody, and they win a contest. And those people they do have good pitches, but they are also good at public speaking. And I don't want you to think that a pitch like you're going to be doing in a couple of days or with an executive or pretty much any of the time, it's not public speaking. It's a conversation. So if you're worried about speaking, in front of an audience, don't be. This is just you and the person. You're sitting down and you're making a connection. You're making a relationship. That's all. Okay? You're making a friend. And back in LA, friends are what it's all about. I'm sure it is here in this community as well. Friends, yeah. No. You know what I mean. Okay. How about one more question? One more? No? Okay, right here.
So what is the worst mistake which you can do during the pitching?
I think that question was addressed. It's desperation. Definitely. Desperation and belligerence. Okay? Good. Anything else? All right. Let me tell you a little bit about the class tomorrow. Can I? For people who... everybody's very busy. In LA they're busy, in Poland people are busy, and it's very hard to find the time to write. So you often find yourself stealing away time as much as you can to sort of get your character down or write a few scenes. So the object of tomorrow is to help you make as much progress with your stolen time as possible. I'm also going to take you through the outlining process, which we all hate, in a very short amount of time. It's a streamlined approach so that you can just whip through a first draft and not make it something that takes you years. Because the first draft always needs to just get onto the page and then you go and rewrite it. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. And I do hope that you all come. It will be really fun to work with some of you again. Thank you so much for having me here today. I really enjoyed myself.